I'm a police officer, and I work nights. Anyone who works overnights knows how the weeks start to bleed together. You stop counting days and start measuring time by how tired you feel when the sun comes up. That week had been especially long, short staffing, back-to-back calls, the kind of nights where you're already exhausted before your shift even ends. It was just after 2 in the morning when dispatch cut in and asked if there were any units close by who could respond to the distress call. The dispatcher's voice was calm, but careful, like she was choosing each word before saying it. She read off the address.
1510 48th Avenue Northwest.
I waited for her to finish, thinking there had to be more to it. There wasn't. For a second, I honestly thought I'd misheard her. I've been running on fumes all week, and your brain starts playing tricks on you when you're that tired. I keyed up and asked her to repeat the address. She did. It was my house. I wasn't the closest unit in the area, but I told dispatch I'd respond anyway. There was a brief pause on the line, like she was about to ask if I was sure. Then she cleared me and advised another unit was en route as well. I remember sitting there for a second while the engine was idling, trying to talk myself out of what I'd just heard. I live alone. No wife, no kids, no roommates. I'm the only one with a key and the only one with the code. I don't rent out rooms. I don't have family stopping by unannounced either. There was no one who should have been inside my house. I told myself it had to be a mistake, a misrouted call, a glitch in the system, anything but the obvious conclusion my brain kept circling back to. Because if the call really came from my address, then someone had been inside my house while I was on shift. That thought sat heavy in my chest as I put the car in drive and started heading home. I told dispatch I'd be first on scene. I didn't wait for the other unit, although I should have. I knew that even as I pulled onto my street. But this just wasn't another call. This was my address, my house. I needed to know what was going on, and I needed to know it now. The street was quiet. No lights on in any of the neighboring houses, no movement, nothing out of place. I parked a few houses down out of habit, killed the lights, and walked up slow. I could hear my own boots on the pavement, louder than they should have been. I approached the front door and tried the handle. It was locked. That stopped me for a second. Not because it was unusual, but because it wasn't. I always lock my door, but standing there in uniform, responding to a call from my own house, it suddenly felt wrong. I used my mic and advised dispatch I was on scene. Then I reached into my pocket and pulled out the keys. There was something deeply unsettling about having to unlock a door I was responding to, about treating my own home like a call I didn't belong at. The place I was supposed to feel safest at now felt unfamiliar. I unlocked the door, took a breath, and stepped inside. I flipped on the lights, already bracing for something to be wrong, but nothing was. The furniture hadn't even been moved. Nothing was knocked over, no drawers open, no doors ajar. No signs of forced entry anywhere in the house. Every room looked exactly the way I'd left it. The place felt oddly perfect, like it had been reset, like someone had made sure there was nothing for me to find. I cleared the rest of the house anyway. Closet doors, bathroom, spare room, still nothing found. As I was finishing up, police headlights flashed through the front windows, which was another unit pulling up. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding and headed back toward the front door to meet them. The officer stepped inside, scanned the room, then looked at me.
You didn't wait for backup?
He asked. Not annoyed, but concerned. Like maybe there was a reason I'd gone in alone. I opened my mouth to answer, then stopped. I realized he didn't know. He checked his notes again and glanced back at the door, then at me.
This your call?
He asked. I nodded. He frowned slightly and said,
Dispatch said the address was...
He read it off. My address. His expression changed when it clicked. We cleared the house again, together this time. As strange as it felt to clear a place that was already empty, we did it anyway. Room by room, closets, bathroom, the basement, every space was accounted for. There was nothing inherently wrong with the house. No damage, no signs of entry, no missing items, no explanation for the call. Just the feeling. The other officer eventually cleared the scene, and I locked the door behind us like I always did. The same routine, the same motions, I tried to convince myself that meant something. The drive back to the precinct was quiet. I kept replaying the house in my head, second-guessing everything I'd looked at, wondering if the way something sat on a shelf was how I'd left it, or if a door had always been opened that far, or even if the lights were on the same switches. That uncomfortable feeling you get when you leave your house and suddenly can't remember if you forgot something important. Only this time, I just couldn't shake it. When I got back to the station, I wanted answers. I logged into the system and pulled up the audio from the initial 911 call. I pulled the call up on the system and put my headphones on. The file was short, just under 30 seconds. At first, there was nothing. No yelling, no panic, just the low hum you get when a line is open and no one is speaking. Then I heard breathing. Slow, controlled, close to the phone. A woman's voice came through, barely above a whisper.
"I don't have much time,"
she said. There was a pause, like she was listening for something on her end.
"If you're hearing this, it means he's gone.
Another pause, longer this time.
Please hurry."
The line went dead. That was it. No address stated, no name given, no sounds in the background that helped place her anywhere. No indication she knew she was calling emergency services at all. I sat there for a long time with the audio stopped, trying to make it fit into something that made sense. I live alone. No one should have been in my house. No one should have even been calling from there. And whoever that woman was, she wasn't panicked, she was asking for help. She was warning someone. And somehow, that warning had been routed through my house, through 911 and straight to me. By the time my shift ended, I'd listened to the audio 3 more times. It didn't change. It didn't explain itself. I went home after my shift. Pulling onto my street, everything looked normal and quiet. The house looked the same as it always did. No lights on, no movement, nothing that stood out. When I stepped inside, I flipped the light switch and tossed my keys onto the counter. I unhooked my holster and set it down the way I always did, out of habit more than anything. Then the lights went out. I stood there for a second, then flipped the switch. Nothing. Not again, I muttered out loud. The house is old. This wasn't the first time the power had gone out. Usually the breaker would trip and a quick reset fixed it. I pulled my phone from my pocket, turned on the flashlight, and headed toward the basement. When I reached the door, I paused. It was already unlocked. That made my stomach tighten for a second, but I just shook it off. I must not have noticed it earlier when we cleared the house, or maybe I'd forgotten to lock it after bringing laundry up. It had been a long week, after all, and I was exhausted. I opened the door and headed down the steps, the beam of my flashlight bouncing off the walls as I went. The breaker box was at the bottom of the stairs. I opened it. Something slipped loose and fluttered to the floor. I stared at it for a second before bending down and picking it up. It was a piece of paper. I shined the light over it and felt my chest tighten as I read the single line written across it. I needed you to hear the call.